I speak now to David DeRoche. He's Professor of National Defense at the National Defense University. He joins us from Washington, D.C. Good to see you. David, what are your thoughts on this Israeli troop withdrawal from southern Gaza? Are they resting or are they getting ready to invade Rafah?
Well, they're kind of the same thing in military terms. So there's three imperatives. The first is, as Admiral Kirby said, they have been in combat for a long time, and forces do need to be rotated out, get a bit of rest, get refitted. The second imperative is there probably is preparation for an assault on Rafah. I think that is inevitable in the Israeli calculation. And the third thing is, I think that given the tensions with Iran, and Lebanese Hezbollah, there's a possibility that Israel may want to have troops that are not pinned down in Gaza but are available for operations elsewhere if needed in the short term.
What are your thoughts on how the war is actually going? I mean, we heard from Prime Minister Netanyahu today saying his troops are one step away from victory. Do you think that's true, given only yesterday we were hearing that 14 IDF soldiers had been killed in fighting in Khan Yunis?
Well, if they're one step away, it's a very big step. Fighting in urban areas is extremely difficult for any army. And, Rafah is going to be a very, very difficult battle because you not only have a very desperate enemy that is in a prepared, multi-level, from tall buildings down to underground tunnels, defensive positions, but you also have an immense amount of civilians who are displaced, who are going to probably be harmed if there is fighting there. And Israel's calculation is going to have to weigh more towards minimizing civilian casualties because of the strategic damage they're suffering. That's going to be hard to do against a determined enemy here. So if it is a step, it's a very large step, and it's likely to last for more in terms of months than in weeks.
Raf, you've implied that a Rafah offensive is inevitable. How do you think President Biden would react to that if it did indeed happen? Is Rafah a red line for him?
I don't think it is. I think that President Biden recognizes that Israel has a right to exist in security, and that if Hamas's military infrastructure is not destroyed, then Hamas will have the ability to strike into Israel at will. And unfortunately, what's left of their military infrastructure is in Rafah. But I think President Biden will follow the lead of an emerging group in his party and be watching the conduct of Israeli forces and the use of force, the infliction of civilian casualties very, very carefully, and he'll be less hesitant to criticize Israel than he was at the opening of the campaign.
We've had senior Democrats like Nancy Pelosi switch their positions and support on stopping of arms sales to Israel. Do you think this is a genuine push by US politicians to stop weapons sales to Israel, or is this all political posturing ahead of the election?
I think it's the latter. I mean, the way we have weapons sales configured is new weapons sales only come before Congress if they're at a certain threshold. I think that any member of Congress has the ability to hold up a weapons sale like that almost indefinitely, unless the administration takes exceptional action. So I don't think that the Israeli request for F-15 fighters and F-35 fighters will be fulfilled until the Gaza campaign is ended. The other weapons that are being transferred are weapons that have been approved years ago, and they're just being fulfilled. The administration does have the ability to stop those and has refused some Israeli requests, such as the request for Apache helicopters. But I think Israel's making the case that a lot of this capacity may not be used in Gaza, but rather is needed in case Hezbollah or Iran attacks. So it's a complicated issue, but at the end of the day, there's not one sort of bottleneck military technology that the United States could deny that will affect Israel's ability in the short term to conduct operations. Any weapons shutdown would take years to have a major effect on Israel's offensive capability.
Good to get your perspective. David DeRoche, Professor of at the National Defense University. Thank you.